Okay, we'll start now the 15th Mamer in Likutei Torah in Shir Hashimim, and this is a follow-up to the previous Mamer. The Mamer starts with Lehavin, Inyan, Medalg, Alahori, Makapets, Alagvois, Chulu Bebiyur Heitev. That means to understand well this idea that this was actually discussed earlier, that he jumps over the mountains, above the mountains, on the merit of the ovis, and Makapets Alagvois, that's with 1 foot, that's the level of Ahava. We learned Makapets Alagvois, jumping with 2 feet, that's the merit of the mother. So to understand this, Bebiyur Heitev, to understand this well. He starts off that Hine Yuvo Napi Masha Kosu Be'egla Rufo, based on what it's written with regard to the Egla Rufa. The Torah, it discusses the Egla Rufa, that's the calf in which you chop off the head because you found a body of a person and you don't know who killed them, from which city, the whole process. So the pasuk says over there, "V'orfu oiso el nachal esom." You should chop off the head, take off the orfu oiso by the nachal esom, by a strong valley, in a valley which is esom. What does it mean, esom? Upirshu b'mishna b'gemara perik tes the soita dafman vov. The Gemara and the Mishnah and the 9th parak of Soita, Daf Mavav, explained what is the meaning of Nachal Eison. What does it mean, a tough, a strong Nachal? Shu kosher, that is hard, meaning the earth there is hard. Sheino Isaperis, so it doesn't make fruit because it's a hard land, it's a hard earth, you can't plant over there. It doesn't produce fruit. That is why it's called the Nachal Eison. So what's the connection? Why are you Orfu Eison, Nachal Eison? What's the connection? So, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says, Yovoi Dovor Shaloi Oso Pedis. Let there come an item which has not made fruit, which is this land that has not produced fruit. B'yorev, and then you're going to chop the head of the egla. B'yechaper, and you should atone al mishaloi hinichuloi al mishaloi hiniach lasis pedus, on one who you did not allow to make fruit. Presumably talking about if you killed the person dead that they found over there was a young guy, and he could have still had children. And because they killed him over there, so they didn't allow him to do fruit. Do fruit. What does it mean, the fruit? So because you're bringing him in a place that didn't make fruit, a sort of midah keneged midah, because you did not allow for this man to make fruit. My parents. So what is the meaning you didn't allow him to lay fruit? If we should say that it means the being fruitful, multiplied, not let him have children, as we translate it, the Gemara says, no, it can't be that. So what would be the din if the person that they found dead was an elderly person who could not have any more children? Or Asoris is a person who can't have children. So you're going to say, well, if the whole reason why is because you're not allowing to do peiros, would it also be true that you're not going to do the argla rufa, you're not going to chop off the head, you're not going to do the process, because in that case, there is no taking away his children because he couldn't have children anyways. And the Gemara says, no. What it really means, peiros elo mitzvahs. Peiros means mitzvahs. That you didn't allow him to do any more mitzvahs. Doesn't matter whether he's older or soris, anybody. The fact that he was killed and you didn't allow him to do fruit, meaning you didn't allow him to do mitzvahs. So why? So we see very clearly that mitzvahs over here are called fruit. So v'hine mevur kan. So over here it is explained shekoyre mitzvahs b'shem peiros, that he refers to mitzvahs as fruit. He didn't allow him to have fruit, meaning you don't allow him mitzvahs. Mitzvah called fruit. L'hovin inyan hamoshul mipeiros shedima inyan hamitzvahs lahem. So we need to understand this parable here. What is this peiros that we're comparing it to peiros? And we're saying that the mitzvahs is like peiros. What's the connection between mitzvahs and peiros? V'hainu inyan hazriya shezorim hagaran ba'oretz. That's the idea that you take of sowing. You sow a kernel, a seed, into the ground. V'nirkav hagarin ha'u, and that seed gets rotted. V'achar kach nitzmach mimenu ilon, and then from this grows a tree. V'oisa peiros kidugmas hagarin ha'u, and it makes fruit similar to that seed that you planted, whether it's apple or similar. So that is the idea of Zeriya. And we're going to try to find, the Rebbe is going to find the comparison to mitzvahs. V'hinei, ikerat tzmicha u'mikoyach hatzameach ba'oretz. The main growth comes from the power of growth that is in the ground. The saying, when Hashem created the world, he said, let the earth sprout forth a blanket of vegetation. So there is a saying of Hashem that is the power in the ground to make things grow. V'hu b'chinas ruchni, that is a spiritual power. V'yochel hatzmiach b'li shiur, it has the ability to sprout, to make grow without any measure. It can continuously, there is no limitation. It's a spiritual level, so the endless amount of growth can come with it. Not only continuously, but it can also produce an endless types, endless tastes. Gam is chalkus timing, and also the division of tastes sheyesh bein hapeiros, that exists amongst the fruit. You have different tastes, whether it's mesukim, whether it's sweet, or chamutzim, or bitter. Hakoil. Everything comes from that power of growth that we talked about before, that makes everything grow. The produce that comes out is based according to the grafting and the combination, the dilution, or how you the chemistry, how you make the hiskalus chasodim begevuras. If you include chesed in gevura, then you get a bitter, or gevuras b'chasodim, then you get how much, depending how bitter, how that, depending how much chasodim in the gevuras, so go to the chasodim. Okay, so in that case, since it's all the power of the koyach hatzemeach, it's all the power of that tadshe ha'oretz, that spiritual power that Hashem put into the ground. So tzarich lahavin lomo hu inyan zriyas hagaden ba'oretz. Why is it necessary? What's the idea? Why do we have the sowing the seed in the ground when it's all comes from Hashem saying Tadshe Oretz Desha? So what does that do? But the idea of sowing the seed, that is bringing up the feminine water, the isaruso deletata, to the power, to the level of the power that makes things grow. Shehu koyach ruchni. That is a spiritual power. He cannot dress up and to restrict itself to a certain tree, to a certain taste. There needs to be first some vessel. If there is a vessel, so then it rests and is revealed, that power of growth, and he makes growth similar to the seed that you planted specifically, that will grow. So you need a keli, and that seed is the Maim Nukvim. That's the keli that is created in order to bring down from the spiritual koyach ruchni that is matzmiach. You need a bechush, as we see vividly, actually. Shelefi hazera shenizra ba'oretz, that according to the seed that has been sown in the ground, that's the way will be the idea of the growth, and the birth from the ground will be similar to what you sow. So based on this, Yuvon Inyan HaMitzvahs Shedima Yisam Lepeda. So now we can understand what is the idea of mitzvahs, that he compared them to fruit. He calls them fruit. Kihine kesiv oir zorua latzadik. That there was a light which is sown for the tzaddik. The tzaddik that does mitzvahs, it's called the tzaddik. So he gets a light that is sown to the tzaddik. The infinite light that extends and gets netzal from him, blessed, that is nikra b'shem zriya canal. That's called by the name of sowing. What does it mean, so? The truth is that relative to the essence, Hashem's essence, and Mehus, blessed, Lav Mikol Inan Midas Klau. He is not at all connected to any of all of these measures, all of these midas, all of the sviras. Everything in Atzilus is nothing at all connected to him. Afilu b'chinas chokhmah, even if we talk about the level of chokhmah, the Atzilus, is also b'chinas asiyah gashmis. That's also like a physical doing. That's how far it is distant from the Atzmus Amos. Okay, we do Amashekosu be'etz chayim, as it's known, that which it's written etz chayim, the Mamer HaZoyar, based on the saying of the Zoyar, that Katsolik Bir'uso Lemivri Alma, when it went up in the Rotzin to create the world. It means Katsolik Bir'uso. Solik means removed. When there was the removal of the Rotzin that in order to create the world, that's the Eitz Chaim explains the Maimon Azayah, that in order to create the world, there needs to be a solik, there needs to be a removal and a tzimtzum. Pirush, solik birusa, the meaning of solik birusa, that it removed through the rotzin, hu inyan hatzimtzum by his talkus bechinas atzmusei. That's the idea of the restriction, the tzimtzum, and the removal from the level of atzmus. To remove it out of the way, kidei sheyatzlu bechinas yutzviras da'atzilus, so that there should be the yatzlu da'atzilus of the 10 spheres of atzilus, bechinas islapshus oires bekelim, so that the lights dress up in the vessels. So needed to be a tzimtzum, to not be in the presence, so to speak, of atzmus in a way that they should be able to become the 10 spheres. This is the idea of the length which is mentioned in the Eitz Chaim. Inyan kav v'chud v'cholol, the idea, the concept of the line and the string and the hollow place. Hulu, there's the various way that he made a mokum panui, a cholol, a mokum panui, and then it was mamshich kav v'chud. Shubichinas simtsumim rabim v'atzumim. Those are many restrictions and powerful restrictions in order sheyizhave b'chinas atzilus, so that atzilus would be created. This was in the beginning of creation, when the world was created with kindness, which means Hashem himself, on his own, because of his kindness, he built the world because of his chesed. There was no isarusa delatata. Nobody brought it out. It wasn't like the garin that brings out that light. The Eibishter gave directly without having an isarusa delatata. Ach ato hakoil tolu b'maise tachtoinim b'maise hatachtoinim davke. But now, after the beginning, after it was already created, everything depends on the action of the ones below. Ukiyodua, Seder Hishtalshelus. And as it's known, the order of Hishtalshelus. So that this whole Hishtalshelus, the Atzilus, and everything should come down. Ubefrat, and especially, that's already the Hishtalshelus that is there, but especially Kidei lahamshich oir chadosh, in order to bring down a new light. Lazet tzorich halo asman v'saruso d'lutato. For that you need to bring up the feminine water, the mayim nukvin, and the arousal from below saruso d'lutato. V'zeu inyan. And this is the idea. What is the keli? What is the garin? What is the sarusa de latato? That's the idea of oir zorua la tzadik now, the light that has been sown for the tzaddik, as we said before, which means shukiyum hamitzvahs bepoyil mamish davke. That is the observance of the mitzvah in actuality, specifically. Al yidei zeh, shoyre umizgale oir ein sof liyes b'bechinas kli v'hasoga. Through that, through the observance of the mitzvah, then it can rest, and the ein sof can be revealed to become, in a way of a keli and hasoga, that it's a vessel and a grasp. Until that, you will be able, from that light, to benefit, to enjoy the ray of the Shekhinah Gan Eden. Kol echad ve'echad lefi madrigose v'avedose Each one from that's the fruits, that's the produce that you get, each one and one according to their step, according to their service, the way they observe Torah mitzvahs in this world. They're getting that oil that they planted, the mitzvahs that we did, bears the fruit. And we need those mitzvahs in order to be mekabel, the rest and reveal the Ein Sof. And then in Gan Eden, you can enjoy it, each one according to their level and what they worked on in Torah mitzvahs in this world. Look into it in Parshas Bahar. B'dibra maschil savay la'aretz, b'dibra maschil kikaretz teritz tzimka, u'b'dibra maschil haboyim yashrish, u'b'geres ha'kodesh ha'posik zrei tzedakos, u'me'inyan erzeru ala tzadik. Look in b'dibra maschil shishim himola. Base. U'kemoi mitzvah siris oimer. So he gives an example of a mitzvah. So we just said that through the mitzvahs. So say, for example, the mitzvah of counting the Omer. So nitztavu b'nei Yisrael olav b'yom hamocharas shel Pesach. The Yidden have been instructed on counting on the day after Pesach. Memocharas HaShabbos. After Pesach. B'hainu. And that is Inyan HaPesach shehoyo b'layla harishon. The idea of Pesach that took place on the first night, that is, as we learned in the previous Mamer, also it's a level of jumping over from the level of Atzmus Ein Sof, which is the essence of the Maitzil. Al HaPesach goes down till the entrance, Shehu B'chinas Malchus Da'atzilus. That is the level of Malchus Atzilus. So you had this jump, not deserving, not worthy, much too high, and a different keli, but it came out Nigla Aleihem Melech Malcham Lochim, a level of deal. But after the first day, Yom Tov, starting with Mochras HaPesach, U'al Yidei Hamshochas Ha'oir V'maisa HaMitzvah Zu. There's no, is there a beginning of a bracket before the word hamitzvah?
No.
Okay, but Maisa hamitzvah zu, in this act, in the act of this mitzvah of counting. Over here, we start to count. What is the matzah? Well, how do we bring down the light in this mitzvah? Every day you say, today is day one. Yoim, Hubi Gematria, the numerical value of one is 56. Yoim is 56. And that has the same numerical value as El Havaya Chulu. El Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei is 26. 26 and 31. I'm sorry, it says, Keil Havaya. Gematria Keil Havaya. Keil Havaya Vayor Lonu. So Keil Havaya is actually 37, I think, because you have 36 and 26. 36 is 56. And one, no, so 30. No, but anyways, come maybe in my koil, I'm not sure exactly, but the bottom line is Keil Havaya. Say when you say Yoim is Keil Havaya, and we're bringing down the level of Keil Havaya. That is a hint. Al Bechinas Hamshochas Ha'oir Bechinas Ein Sof. That hints the bringing down, extending the light from the level of himself, the Bechinas HaMalchus Hanikra Omer, to Malchus, which is called Omer. That is Hayoim. Hayoim is the to bring it down into the world and the level of Malchus. That is the fish yesh kamo b'chinas u'madregas. There is many levels and steps. You have a Malchus sheb'chinas atzilus nikra b'chinas odom. Malchus, which is in the level of atzilus, that's called odom. Moshikosu, the puzzle, the mus pneihem pnei odom. The image of the face is the face of a odom. That's talking about the kruvim, the chariot. Or the other pasuk, it says val the musa kisei. Over there it says the mus kibare odom. So in Atzilus, they are considered odom. When Malchus, or when the Ein Sof dresses up, when it comes down all the ways into the world of Abriya, then it's called Nikra B'chinas Behema. Then it's called level of Behema. Meshikosu, as the pasuk Matzmiach Chotzir La Behema Chulu. So that makes growing the chotzir, the grass that comes for the animal. That's for the hamshoche in oil habriya, or behema is bahar de olav. So that's another place referring to the behemoths, which is level of bria. V'hu inyan madrega hatachtoines shebemalchus. That's the lower level within Malchus that comes down, which is called Malchus Shebe Malchus. Within Malchus, the Shviras of Malchus Shebe Malchus, which was actually the last day of the Omer, is Malchus Shebe Malchus. Sheyeredes umistateres bibya. That descends and it conceals in Briya Yitzira Asiya. And Vatitein teref lebeisa. She gives the teref, the food for her house, for all of the oilamas in the biyah, the hamshachas ha'oir from Malchus, Sheba Malchus into biyah. So that is the oimer that is giving down. But so minchas ha'oimer means oirim. Shu Michael Behim. We say that the mincha of the oimer comes from barley, and barley is the food of an animal. Humans eat wheat, and barley is considered a food for the animals. Pirush. Just as the idea of food of a human. Through the food, he's strengthened, and the power of his energy expands into the limbs. That's also the concept, the idea of the mincha of the barley shu Michael behema. That becomes the food of the animal. It's soira barley, which is shiur hay. Soira, that is shiur hay. Pirush. What it means is they sheyislabesh bechinas malchus lahachyesh nevroim bechinas balig vul v'tachlis. In order that malchus should be able to dress up, to vitalize those created that are limited, balig vul, and finite. Lazet sorich sheyumshach ha'ora bilmayla. So for that, Malchus needs that it should come down ha'ara from above. V'hu al yidei ha'korban sheikrivu al gabei ha'mizbeach, through the carbon that they brought on the mizbeach. Shenas al pi chochmos yiritzoni yizbarech dafke. That was done. What exactly needs to be the carbon? Hashem decided based on Hashem's wisdom and blessed will dafke. Moshe Nemar b'Torah keves tomim. Torah says you bring a whole sheep. Uminchosei shneis esronim davke. Over here, by the korban omer, the Torah says that the mincha is 2/10, which is different. Hashem decided that's the way to the Hamshacha to work. Over here, it's davke 2/10. But what does it say by the other korban? That 1/10 for the keves echad. V'nisko yayin revi sahin, and the nesach. So here, all of a sudden, we're making shnei esrei. V'af hashemen shenivlal im minchosei, and also the shemen that was nivlal with the mincha, with the flour. Lahoya rak revi sayayin. So, which means that it had less wine proportional. Even though the mincha had 2/10, but you didn't double, even though you doubled the flour that you gave 2 esronim instead of 1 esronim, but you still only gave 1 revis of 1 revis sahin. Let me ask you this: by the word vinisko yain revis, I think it should say hahin. By me, there's 2 yuds, hayayin.
No, for me, hahin.
By you, it says hahin. Okay, gotta fix it. Okay, wait a minute. So, meaning that af hashemesh nivul min chosel lo rak revis hayayin. But the libation was not double. How come? The Eibishter decided that's the way to do it. As it's going to be mamshich, that by doing it that way, that's the way namshach comes. The parentheses, inyan shemen chosei kefula. What is the idea that there is a double mincha yeshloimar al derech? They say similar to what we say, that for every drop of rain that comes down from above, there are 2 drops that come up next against it. So 2 drops bring down 1 drop. Because the Omer mainly bringing up the name of Ban, so you need to make up 2 in order to bring down 1. Or we can say, similar to what is written elsewhere, when it talks about tzedakah, shemidas, mida bein is litin meiser. The middle way is to give a 10th. Vasidis kodesh, like it said, the 10th should be kodesh. That's like by the meiser behema. So you see the concept of giving a 10th. However, mitzvah min amuchar li is chomesh. But the mitzvah amuchar is to give a 5th. That's 2/10, double 10th. You know it's soifa b'tchiloson, utchiloson b'soifa, and Mamer. So you have the tie the beginning and the end. So if you give a 10th over here, it ties to the 10th above. That makes it 2/10. As we say, tithe usual time. We're talking about 2 tithing. Base palm and meiser. We're talking about 2 meisers, which is milmato lemailo, or milmailo lemata. So one from above, from below to above, one from above to below. We can also say over here, similar to the idea of that you gave 2 esronim for the fish, because Omer is the level of Malchus. So when you count it from the top to the bottom, you start with Chochmah, Malchus is the 10th. Umilmata l'maylo, but when you go from below to above, you start from Malchus going out. He bechinas Keser. That is the level of Keser, because Malchus is a Keser for the Oil Mizbeach. Kosu al Posik, as it says, written on the Posik, Arenis Marecha. So how does it become a Keser? Idea Parsa Mapsik B'Siyum HaAtzilus, that through that curtain that interrupts at the end of the Atzilus, that Bekeya HaOir B'Bchinas Oir Chayzer Chulu, then the shine breaks through in the returning light. It's now Malchus' level of Keser through that curtain. Since the idea of the Omer is bringing up the name of Ban, of Malchus and level of that's why that sheep that came together with the Omer, that mincha was 2 esrog. It was bechinas Malchus, and also bechinas Keser, which is milmaylo l'maylo ke'echad, both from below to above, from above to below. That's why we have 2 esrog. Inami, another way of saying it, Aderech mashakos b'zoyer parshas Chayesora u'b'lekutei Torah shom, the shem ban nikra hamachpelo. It's also called by Moritz Machpelo. Vayim b'pardes be'erech hakinuim be'erech Yisoren b'rayim hemne parshas Pinchos daf reish nun hay. It's going to continue to say, let's go. V'hinei ayidei zeh shehoyu makrivim hakorban al gabei hamizbeach kilchosu kumishpotei. Through this, that you brought the korban on the mizbeach as the halacha and the rule. Through the kohen, he knew the intentions. Then you had the fire of above that would be revealed on the mizbeach. What is the fire that comes down on the Mizbeach? That's the idea of Amshochas Vashros Oirin Sof B'Bechinas Malchus. That is bringing down and having the Oirin Sof rest in the level of Malchus. Ayidei Asiyas HaMitzvah Zu. By doing this mitzvah. So that he gave the example from the Korban, from the Omer. But exactly, you have to follow the rules. And when you follow the rules, then you are able to be mamshich, the hamshochas, the eish of my kedoyma b'shara mitzvahs. Similar is by all the other mitzvahs, tzitzis, utfilin, shehema mamash kedum gmas riyas hagarim ba'oretz. They are similar, mamash, actually like the sowing of the seed in the ground. Shenigvla v'nircha ba'oretz, that is swallowed and rots in the ground, the seed. And that reveals the power of the tzemeach, that becomes the keli, and that is the level of malchus, which the tzemeach, the insof, rests in the malchus, in that keli. This is the idea of counting 49 days. Malchus, that we bring down that ray and the Amshoch Malchus, and 49 days until Shavuos, we bring down through the Sfira 49 days. Keser, that is the level. Malchus is the level of Keser, which we said before. By the Choizer, by breaking through the parsa, it gets the level of Keser. Shubechinas Keser, liyos shovim b'koimosom, so that they will be equal in their height, so that when Malchus comes up, it is back into to the other spheres, to Inyan, Aliyas Hamalchus, that when Malchus goes back up into Atzilus, Oz Nikra B'chinas Odom. And that is when it's called Odom. So when the Hamshacha is B'chinas Behema, when it comes to Biyah, over there it's in the level of Behema, but when it goes back up, it's the level of Odom. Ubishvuas Hoyu Makrivim Shtei Halechem. And Shavuos, you brought the two breads, Shu Bo Mechitim, Shehu Michael Odom Chulu. That's already a Michael Odom. No longer Michael Behema, because now we're elevated. Now we came to the level of Odom. Malchus is in the level of Odom now. As the word Chita is 22. 9 and 8 is 17, plus 5 is 22. Uchov Beis Oisius HaTorah. That's the 22 letter of Torah. That's the time of Matan Torah. What's the reason for this? By doing this mitzvah, you have brought down, it came down a shine from above. Because the mitzvah, that's the garin, that's the seed that brings out that hamshocha. If you say kiyum hamitzvahs hemnasim midvorim mikashmim davke, the observance of mitzvahs comes from physical matters specifically. Kumay korbonos, the kvosim, the izim, they come from sheep and goats. V'chein tzitzis, and also tzitzis mitzemer utfilim meklav gashmi. They come from physical parchment. The Shorsham, but they're rooted. They come from the 288 sparks that come from the world of Toyu. As the Paveil HaMelachim Hulu, those were the kings that came before Melach Melach, which is higher than the level of Tikkun, the level of Atzilus. So they have a higher source. Dafke because they're Gashmis. But the observance of the mitzvah, the good, is sought out and it goes back to its place. And the shorshoy, what's the root of this ban, the sag? That is the ban of the name sag, shalamaylo mishem ma hamevarer shem ban, which is higher than ma, that's mevarer ban. So ban is the Rosh Tevis, that's the behema. Ma is the Rosh Tevis odom. So the Odom, who's Mevarer the Behema, reaches the level of Ban the Sag, which is in a higher level. Who Inyan Kol Torah Kula. This is the idea of the whole Torah. By Daber Hashem El Moshe Leimer. What does it mean? That Moshe B'chinas Chochma, B'chinas Ma. Moshe is the level of Chochma, level of Ma. And by Daber Hashem to Moshe, that the Eibishter Havaya is Nizgala to the level of Ma. Gilu Oiresov Chochma. To be Megala Eiden Chov Chochma. Daber of Bnei Yisrael Chulu, but then speak to the Bnei Yisrael, and Bechinas Netzach V'Hoid, that's being Mamshich to the level of Netzach V'Hoid. Seder Eishtalshus Amshocha Milmailo Lemato. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.